Good afternoon. My name is Ronald Lieske, and I am the team leader of the program unit of the Managing Authority and the Joint Secretariat in Rostock.
Good afternoon from my side as well. I'm Eeva Rantama, also team leader of the project unit at the Managing Authority and Joint Secretariat in Rostock as well.
Yeah, together we are trying to answer the question today. Yeah, are we on? Oops, our slides are not yet working. Are we on track with the program implementation?
And as Susanne said, so we will show some facts and figures about the projects, about the funds, about the partners in the projects, and we will give some impressions what the projects are really doing and how people can, and regions can benefit from the projects. And we hope that after this presentation we are all more or less on the same page where we are at the stage of today in the program implementation. And yeah, I give the floor to you to start.
Yes, so let's first have a look at our program period and how the number of projects has been developing. So the current program has been started in 2015 with the first call, and since then the number of projects has constantly grown. And so we had 3 calls altogether and a few targeted calls. And here you can see that we are now at the peak of program implementation with 111 projects up and running.
Yeah. So it is a unique opportunity to have the conference today, and we'll be able to invite all the 111 projects to us, to Lübeck.
Yeah, and you can also see that there are still a few very busy years ahead of us, so the projects will still last until 2021.
Yeah, and we will then start slowly closing the program in 2021, but of course this is not the end, so the project achievements will remain after that. But let's come back still today, and we can say that now after all these 3 calls and big calls and a number of projects which have been selected, so we have committed almost all the funds of the program.
Yes, so we should have a closer look at the different funding sources that have been committed. So what is quite unique about our program is that it's combining funds for the EU member states in the Baltic Sea region and for the neighboring countries, Norway and Russia. And until today, the program has allocated almost 237 million euro of funds to partners from the 8 EU member states in the Baltic Sea region. In addition, we are administering also Norwegian national funds, and Norwegian partners have received until now 4.7 million euro of funding.
The funds for Russian organizations came a bit with delay, so some projects did face some challenges with that, but now we are proud of this success, but that we do have Russian funds for the projects as well. And so far we have committed 4.4 million euro to the Russian partners, and this figure will still grow. And as I said, that almost all funds are committed by now, so there is a small amount of funds left, and this will be committed still this week during the upcoming days to some additional extension stage projects and project platforms.
Yeah, so some people here in the room might be already nervous because they have applied for these funds.
Yeah. And we can now be proud that when all these funds are now almost committed, we have also covered almost all, or not almost, but all program topics.
Yeah, so wait, I'm not so sure if everyone remembers the topics in our program. So let's have a look at our priorities. So our program has 3 thematic priorities. We have innovation, we have nature resources, and transport. And in each of these priorities, there are specific objectives. For example, smart specialization in the innovation priority, or we have 2 different energy-related specific objectives under nature resources, or we have the maritime safety under transport.
Okay, thanks, Ronald. I think this was helpful. So now we can go back to the funds granted. So in this more complicated chart, you will see blue pillar bars that show how much funds have been committed to each of the specific objectives that Ronald just mentioned, and then those green bubbles show the number of projects in each of the specific objectives. And there are many details in this graph, and you can have more time to study it more carefully soon when we publish our new program fact sheet, so this will be included there, and we will only point out some observations now in this presentation. And one of them is that you can see that the specific objectives are covered quite balanced with the funds. So there are some exceptions, but all in all, quite balanced.
Yes, so we can clearly see that there are two specific objectives which are most attractive. So we have the non-technological innovation and the clear waters objectives with the highest number of projects and also most funds committed.
Yeah. For the non-technological innovation, we can say that it is a quite broad objective. That's why quite popular by our applicants, but also many applicants have been successful. They have provided good applications, and here we see the allocation. And then for clear waters, it is definitely a topic that continues to be an important topic for the region. So there is a high demand of projects that try to find solutions to make the waters clearer in the region.
Yeah, so at the other end of the scale, we can see the accessibility, which has clearly the fewest projects and also least amount of funds allocated, even though accessibility is an important topic in the region because it has huge distances and rather sparsely populated areas.
Yeah, it seems that it's a bit too narrowly defined as it is at the moment in our program, so maybe broader approaches would be needed to tackle the problems of these regions.
Yeah, but all in all, we can conclude that the funds initially made available have been very well corresponding to the demand in the region, so there hasn't been any need for shifting funds from one priority to another during the program period.
No. Yeah, I would like to have a look now how all these topics relate to the EU strategy for the Baltic Sea region. For those of you who might not be so familiar with the EU strategy, so it is an agreement among the EU countries around the Baltic Sea and the EU Commission to strengthen the cooperation among the countries in order to tackle the challenges that the region faces, as well as to take best use of the opportunities that we have in the region. So the strategy was launched in 2009, so it's been there already, almost 10 years now. And our program is one of the funding tools that is expected to provide funding to projects that then contribute to the implementation of the strategy.
Yeah, and almost 2/3 of the program funds are actually allocated to projects which are contributing to the objectives of the EU strategy for the Baltic Sea region. And what is also important is that all objectives of the strategy are covered by these projects. So let's have a closer look at the 3 strategy objectives. So first of all, we have the objective of Save the Sea, which has received the most of the funding from our program with 71 million euro. Then we have projects amounting to a bit more than 65 million euro related to increased prosperity objective. And slightly less, so 32.6 million euro are related to the strategy objective Connect the Region.
Some of you, or many of you, may know that there are also so-called horizontal actions in the strategy, and one of them is climate. And we do not have a specific priority or specific objective on climate change, adaptation, or mitigation in the program, but there are many projects across the priorities that tackle these issues, either transport point of view or energy point of view or water management point of view. And we have calculated that our contribution to those projects is 88.3 million euro, which sounds quite a lot. Then if you think of that, it's 36% of our funding that has been committed, and you think of what is the topic that the youth go to the streets at the moment, or we can of course consider if this is enough, or should we do something else in the future?
Yes. So Having another look at another dimension, how projects are related to the EU strategy for the Baltic Sea region. So we had last year an evaluation, and our evaluators asked the questions if to the projects, if these projects are aligned or linked to the EU strategy for the Baltic Sea region. And so an amazing 92% of all respondents answered with yes. So in addition to the officially nominated flagship projects, there is a huge share of our projects that are thematically contributing to the strategy.
And I suppose many of you were asked as well and answered this questionnaire of our evaluators, maybe. But this is still not all. We have, in addition to these 3 thematic priorities that Ronald presented earlier, we have a 4th priority called EU strategy support. And there we, for instance, give funding for seed money projects. So these are preparatory projects for a major, bigger transnational projects for implementing the EU strategy. Under this priority, we also give funding the policy area coordinators, horizontal action coordinators for the important work to coordinate and implement the different topics of the strategy. And in addition, under this priority, we co-fund EU strategy forums, and I suppose that many of you have also participated these events throughout all these years. But let's come back to our thematic projects and have a look who is really implementing them, who are the partners in the projects.
Yeah, so we have currently an amazing number of 1,400 partners in our 111 projects. And there is a broad variety of different types of partners, so administrations, NGOs, enterprises. And so we can have a closer look at how the different shares of these partners are. And we can see here on the slide that the biggest share of the partners are actually the public authorities, so from the local, regional, and national level, with 37% of all partners. Closely followed by educational and research institutions with 32% of the partners. And then we have 19% of enterprises and business support organizations. So this is also a new feature in our program, that we have now also enterprises, so private companies as partners. And so it's quite a attractive way to involve them, and so it has been also used. And we have 12% of NGOs and other international organizations in the partnerships.
Mm. Of course, we welcome even more public authorities joining our projects, but I think all in all, it looks like a quite good mixture of different type of organizations.
Yes, and also coverage of different countries is quite good.
Yes, let's have a look at that one now. So here you see that all our program countries are well covered with the projects, and the highest number of partners are from one country is Finland, but it's not very far away from Germany and Poland and Sweden. So all these big blue fields in this section, so these are the countries with the most of the partners. But if you think of those small Baltic countries, I would think that the number of participants in our projects is very, very good from those countries as well. Of course, we would welcome even more partners from Russia and Norway, but I think we are on a good track and covering all our projects.
Okay,
countries, I meant.
Eva, now we should actually move on to what our projects are actually doing. And we have brought some examples. And I can start with the first one.
Wait, Ronald, they are so great, we have to show them all.
Technology, 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 technology. Buy it, use it, break it, fix it, trash it, change it, melt, upgrade it, chart it, point it, zoom it, press it, snap it, work it, quick erase it, write it, cut it, paste it, save it, load it, check it, quick rewrite it, plug it, play it, earn it, rip it, drag it, drop it, zip and zip it, lock it, fill it, code it, find it, view it, code it, jump and lock it, surf it, scroll it, pose it, click it, cross it, crack it, switch, update it, name it, read it, use it, print it, scan it, send it, fax, rename it, fetch it, bring
Yeah, that was a lot.
Yeah, it was 111, if you could not count. But yeah, but I think you're right, Ronald. We have to pick some of them in order to explain more, more in detail what the projects are really doing and how regions and people benefit from them and what is really the added value of transnational cooperation.
Yeah, for example, we help to reduce regional disparities.
Oh yeah, now you went to a difficult topic right away. It's like a term from regional sciences. Can you tell what it is?
Yeah, for example, we have a project that makes expensive research infrastructures, which are located only a very few places in the Baltic Sea, accessible for companies from the entire region, and it's a project Baltic Tram.
This is the one we visited last summer with the Secretariat. Exactly. We were at DESY, and this stands for Deutsches Elektron- und Synchrotron.
Yes, exactly. And this DESY is a lead partner of Baltic Tram. And what is the project doing? So they support companies who want to make research in this research facilities. So there has been 40 case studies, and so these companies, they could use the research facilities to test their products, to improve their products, or to develop new products. And for example, in the field of nanotechnology, or of the food sector, or for cosmetics.
Yeah, I heard about one company who was testing lipsticks, so how lipsticks react to heat.
Yeah, and so if companies get access to this very valuable research infrastructure and the help how to make use of them, this is a contribution to reduce region disparities in the region.
Yeah. Yeah, I do like this example, but there are also other types of benefits from transnational cooperation that our projects have. For instance, in many projects, partners are sharing experiences and this way developing new ideas and the ways of doing things.
Which project do you have in mind?
Now I'm thinking of eco-design circle projects, where a network of designers are bringing their knowledge about circular economy together and try to inspire companies to develop products in line with circular economy ideas. So products that, when using them, no or hardly any waste is there.
You mean something like this reusable delivery package that can be used again and again, and so it's reducing waste.
Yeah. Yeah, so exactly, and then there are other products you can find in our experience spots here in the conference, for instance, cutlery and plates out of wood industry waste, and please have a look at them. And in this project, Eco Design Circles, so participants or participating companies try to find the best ideas, which then they can bring to the commercialization phase, and in that way, the knowledge of eco-design will be gathered from different countries and will be brought to the daily business of designers and companies.
Yeah, so it's an inspiring project. But we should also not forget about other types of projects which are dealing with challenges that go beyond the borders and which require joint actions.
Yeah. I think you are thinking of maritime accidents. So I'm afraid that it's not the question if there will be a major accident in the Baltic Sea, but when there will be one again.
Yes, you're right. So many ships transporting oil or other dangerous substances are crossing the Baltic Sea every day. And at the same time, there are huge cruise ships on the Baltic Sea with thousands of people on board. And so when an accident happens, then a quick reaction is needed from all countries nearby. And so the officials from the different countries, they have to work together. They have to train how to work together, that in the case of an accident, they are prepared. And this is a topic which is, has been dealing, for example, by our Dive Smart project. And so let's have a Danish Navy lieutenant explain this project.
Collaborating with the different countries around the Baltic, we solve small pieces of the puzzle along the way, but we need a lot of exercises together. We need to find out what does the Polish divers do, what can the Swedish divers, what Danish, how do we work together? Because when the situation happens, and it will happen, maybe not this year or maybe not in 10 years, but it will happen, then we can't stand at the site where the ship gone down and then figure out what to do.
Yeah, so with the help of the Dive Smart projects, life can be saved if an accident happens in the middle of the Baltic Sea.
Yeah, well, I think all of us can feel a bit more secure now when getting on board. But there are some issues, some problems in the region which are so complex that one project cannot do much, but also projects need to cooperate.
So you are probably referring to our project platforms, which are clustering thematically related projects.
Yes, I am. But let me tell you something first. So I don't remember in any other summer than last summer when we had vacation in Finland that we had to throughout the whole summer vacation such a hot weather and such sunny days, and they would have been perfect to spend on the summer cottage on the Baltic Sea. But the problem was we could not go to the water because it was full of algae and it looked like porridge. And so unfortunately this was not even a surprise to us because we've had similar experience on earlier summers during hot summer days.
Yeah, so this is called eutrophication, and it's commonly known that these algae blooms are caused by too heavy loads of nutrients in the Baltic Sea.
Yeah, so it is not a new topic, and there are many professionals working in that issue, and there are also many EU-funded projects that, for instance, try to find solutions to improve water treatment plants for urban and rural areas. And there are also EU-funded projects that try to help farmers to find new ways of dealing with manure, for instance, and so that not so many runoffs are there. And there are also scientific projects that try to study the different soils and how nutrients are running off from different types of soils. And many of these projects develop recommendations and guidelines, for instance, for the supporting schemes for farmers. Many projects, they look at the issue maybe even at different angles, but still they have same or almost similar target groups, like the managers of wastewater treatment plants or local politicians or planners and the local level, but also from farmers and advisory organizations, as well as ministries of environment and agriculture, and also transnational policy organizations like HELCOM.
Yeah, so projects tackling the same problem from different angles, they are brought together by our project platforms to reach greater effects. And so by this, for example, farmers, they get a better overview of different solutions which have been tested already, or politicians on different level get more ideas about already tested policy approaches.
So I do not have any illusions that something will happen in a couple of years, maybe in decades. But anyway, I do believe that our transnational projects and the support from platforms will have a great influence or effect on the water quality in the Baltic Sea. And I'm convinced, and I want to be convinced, that my children with their families can spend their summer vacations on the Finnish Baltic Sea shore and fully enjoy the water.
Yeah, and 2 of our platforms will have contributed to this process. So it's a platform on the water management and a platform on agri-environment and nutrition management. And there are, at the moment, 4 other project platforms. And as we said before, there will be an MC meeting this week, and afterwards we will have even more of the platforms.
Yeah. So we have shown some examples, illustrations, what our projects are doing.
Yes, and we have seen a couple of figures on projects, on project partners, and on amounts of funds allocated.
So all these figures show the volume of transnational cooperation that our program is supporting in this region.
Yeah, talking about figures, we could also mention another interesting figure our evaluation brought. So the partners were asked if the organization has benefited from the participation in Interreg. And amazing, 97% of all partners answered this with yes. So we are still working on the remaining 3%.
Yeah, but it's not only the partners who benefit, but also the people in the regions. And this is now the challenge, how to get them know what the projects are doing.
Yeah, so we have to be able to explain the achievements of the project and show the added value of transnational cooperation. And each project has to show this, of course, in its own region, to their own politicians, for example.
And that's the reason why we made this conference all about achievements.
Yeah, so in our session, we could touch only upon a very few examples, but there will be 16 parallel sessions today and tomorrow on our projects and project platforms. And in these sessions, we can learn much more about achievements that have been already produced by projects running already for quite some time, or planned achievements by newer projects.
Yeah, but it's not only listening and learning yourself, so we hope that you also think and talk, so how you can make better use of the projects we have in your work in your region, so how to make the effects of the projects, the impact of the projects even greater.
So let's talk about achievements at our conference today and tomorrow.